Yo, what is up, guys? I'm bringing you a brand new video, and this time we're talking about whether or not Black Desert is pay to win in 2021. I'm going to break this video down into 3 parts, and the first part is how much money will you be expected to pay or feel compelled to pay as a new player to set up your character or your account with all of the essentials that are really super convenient. And I'm also going to talk about how much damage can you do if you have thousands of dollars and you just spend like $1,000 every single week on the game. How influential is that pay to win exactly? And then we're going to talk about whether or not that pay to win ultimately matters when you compare a super giga whale that spends a ton of money versus somebody that is more of a modest spender. Will that giga whale hinder your gameplay or make the gameplay feel a lot less fun? So let's start with the first topic here. But before we go into that, as a new player, you probably got Black Desert for free. There's a lot of really easy ways to get the game for free, like Twitch drop events. There's an event on right now where you can hit level 50 and you get the game for free. So the game ultimately doesn't cost any money. They also do a really good job of setting you up for the first month or two with all of the essentials that you're going to need to enjoy and explore the game and find out if it's the game for you. So before we even get into this discussion of pay to win, I do think that the game is worth trying because they really do set you up in the right way to have fun the first month or two. You won't really feel compelled to spend a lot of money unless you know you like the game off the bat. So keep that in mind as we go through here. One thing that you are going to need after month 1 or 2, and one of the first suspicions you might have of the game is, well, if it's a free game, how do they make money? Well, they kind of do have a subscription cost to the game, and it's in the form of a value pack. A value pack is ultimately one of the most essential items in the game to have running as an active player, and a lot of that is because you get 30% silver collection upon central market sales, so you get taxed less on the items you gather and then sell, so ultimately you're going to be progressing a lot faster than a person that does not have a value pack. It costs 1,500 pearls, and the conversion rate is you just divide by 100. It's $15, 15 US dollars per month for a value pack. However, there are a lot of sales and deals and stuff that they put on often, so it's pretty common to get this for $12 or maybe even 10 in some different bundle packages and stuff like that. But it is one of the essential items that you're going to want to have on a month-to-month basis. So that's the first sort of pay to win that the game might have for a player that is, a casual / slow spending gamer. Now, moving on to the next item. This item is one that you're probably going to want to have by maybe month 2 or 3 of the game, and that is the Nap Heart Campsite. There's a ton of really useful functions that this has that are unique to this tent, and it's something that you can buy potions from, it's something you can repair your gear at, it's something you can get buffs at all remotely without having to go to different places and different towns to get these buffs. It's ultimately super, super convenient and something that I would say nearly 95% of endgame players have. That's how good it is. And that's being generous. It's probably closer to like 99.9% of players that are endgame have this. So very, very useful, and it's going to cost you about $49, but this is a one-off purchase. The value pack is the only purchase that is a recurring thing, whereas the Nap Heart is a one-time. You can use it on any character. If you reroll anything, you can always just use this no matter what once you buy it. The next thing that we're going to look at here are pets. Now, in the past, BDO didn't give you any pets at all, and the maximum is 5. So you were expected to spend $45 to get pets right off the bat, but now they give you those pets for free. So they're giving you 5 for free, which means that you can now grind without having to pick up your loot manually, which is insanely, insanely nice. But there are different tiers of pets, and tier 3s are a lot better than tier 1s. You have about a 60% chance of upgrading a tier 1 to a tier 3 by buying 1 pet. And so it can cost some money in order to get tier 3s. They do give pets for free, and they do have event pets that they give often for attendance rewards and things like that. So, over time, you eventually will get tier 3s and tier 4s. However, if you want to start off in the game with tier 3s, be expected to pay $45 extra to get probably 3 out of 5 tier 3s with a couple tier 2s type of situation. So we're already up to about $90, $94 with the tent and buying some extra pets to get some higher tiers. The next thing is Maids. Now, Maids are an item that it's basically a maid that grabs items for you from storages and your marketplace remotely. You can think of it as like, instead of running all the way back to town to get some potions you forgot, you can just use this maid once every 20 minutes and it'll give you the potions directly from your storage. So it's got a lot of nice conveniences, and I would say at a minimum, you're probably going to want to have 2 of them. Like, once again, it is a convenience item. It's not required by any stretch of the imagination, but, you're probably going to feel compelled to buy this. And they do oftentimes have like a 2+1 deal on Maids where you can get 3 of them for the same price of 2. So it's about $24 for 3 Maids if you're, being thrifty. So that can be added to the total right there. Now we're up to, right around $120. And then the last thing, which is super useful, is weight. So there's different weight that your character has, and that allows you to, have extra items in your inventory. They already give you about 100 inventory slots just for like playing the game and doing the seasonal server and all this other stuff. So you're not really going to feel compelled to buy inventory slots, but all that stuff in your inventory is going to weigh you down. And the more weight you have, the less often you have to stop grinding, which can be pretty convenient and feel pretty good. So weight can cost, an additional, I don't know, let's say $30, 35, $40. So now we're up to a grand total of about $160, let's say. So for $160, you mostly have all the essentials, and you can feel pretty good knowing that everything else you buy is purely because you like wasting your money, I guess. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of different things you can buy. Like, you can buy underwear, and you can buy different outfits, and you can buy different items that ultimately just don't really help you that much with your progression. They're all cosmetic from there. Or, they save you a buck here or there. Like, instead of ripping out a crystal, you can rip it out with one of these. But ultimately, that crystal probably doesn't cost that much money, so it doesn't really matter anyway. Like, everything else is just kind of whatever. Horse flute is something that you probably might want down the line. So I would say, by the 3-month point, you're probably gonna have put in $200 if you're a passionate BDO player. That's probably what you'd want to spend, is about $200. And that's going to set you up for a long time, because all of those purchases are one-off purchases, and the value pack is the only thing that's sort of like your subscription cost, which is going to allow you to, have that extra market tax reduction and extra weight in slots like that. So let's talk a little bit about how much damage you can do as a pay-to-win player now. Is gear buyable in Black Desert through real-life money? The answer is yes, but it is limited. So Black Desert has a 35 costume sale limit. Costumes are the primary item that are sold on the market, and these items are used to melt for cronstones, which are used to protect your gear when you're enhancing it and it fails. So people that sell costumes on the market is actually a benefit to you as a free-to-play or low-spending player, because you can then buy these costumes and melt them for crons, and they get the pure silver, and you spend your silver that you grinded for and get cronstones, which is really nice. A lot of regions don't have costumes that go up on the market regularly, which North America does. So it is actually super nice, and this is why I don't really care if people spend their money on costumes, because it does benefit the general player base a lot for them to do that. But if you were spending 35 costumes every single week, you're buying 35 costumes, you're basically getting around 16.5 billion silver per week in sales, but it's going to cost them about $1,100 per week to get 16.5 bill. Now, that might not mean a lot to you because you might not have played BDO before, but it takes me about, I would say, 35 hours to make that much money through active gameplay. And that is as an end game player. As a player that's played this game for 8 to 10, maybe a year, you're probably going to have to spend around 42 hours in order to get 16.5 bill through grinding. And so that's about like 26, 27 bucks an hour if you really think about it. So it is pretty costly to pay to win in Black Desert. And now sort of comes the topic as to, is it really worth spending that much money on Black Desert? Well, I think the answer is no. And the reason why is a whole slew of reasons. First of all, some of the most fun activities in Black Desert are node wars, and there are tier 1 node wars that have capped gear. If you've played the game for like a month, you've probably reached the cap on that gear, and there's really no benefit for you having to spend thousands of dollars because your gear is going to be the best because it's capped and you've reached the cap. Same thing with Siege, which is like another type of big, large-scale fight. There are capped sieges, and hitting the caps is really not that hard as a low-spending or zero-spending player. The next thing is season servers. Nowadays, there's always a season running, and because season's limit is full pen to Vala, a lot of the time if you want to do open world PvP or if you want to do duels and stuff like that, you can just play on a season server, and the next time a new season rolls around, you get yourself some pen gear again, which people literally do day 1 in this last season. In one day, you can get full maxed gear, and you just have fun PvPing, go in the red battlefield, go in the battle arena, do open world Arsha. There's tons of different ways to enjoy the game that don't involve spending a bunch of money. And so I think that if you really don't want to spend thousands of dollars on the game and you never want to interact with those players that have spent that much money, there are ways to never interact with those players. But ultimately, I'm a pretty low spending player. I mean, I'd probably say I'm a moderate spending player. Over the course of 4 years, I've spent maybe on average $100 per month. And I'm maxed out on my gear. There is nobody in the game that is more geared than me or like significantly more geared than me. There's somebody that has like one extra item above mine, and ultimately the final outcome is nothing. It's all skill based when I'm fighting that particular player. So you can get to maximum level gear with time investment, and that is the way that most people do get through Black Desert. They usually are grinders. They're usually people that spend the time playing their class, playing their character, and getting their gear, and they're typically better at the game because they're much more refined at their class because they've played it so much more. A lot of the time, I'll fight players that all they do is buy their gear, and you just shit on them. Like, it's because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to play their class. They're literally just super gear carried. They don't hardly ever PvP. Like, the difference between somebody that is 650 gear score, which I know tons of players that get that in under a year, versus somebody that's 700 gear score, that is not an insurmountable amount of gear score. 50 gear score difference is probably like a 10 to 20% advantage, which can easily be just taken care of via skill. So yeah, you can pay to win in BDO. Yes, there's about a $200 initial amount of money that you might feel compelled to pay in order to be on the same level as the, average high-end player. But ultimately, I don't think that pay to win matters enough when you can grind and get the max gear, and whether or not you're 60 or 70 gear score below somebody, that doesn't mean that person is always going to win, because class to class matchups matter a lot and individual skill levels matter a lot. So that is my ultimate takeaway, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gave you some insight. My ultimate recommendation is to try Black Desert. Like I said at the start of the game, or start of the video, if you start this game you're taken care of for the first month or two, and you're probably gotten the game for free anyway. It is worth trying, it's worth playing, and I think you'll have a lot of fun at it. That's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe for more video tips and tricks, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.